I don't know if you know this about me, but I like video games kind of a lot. And I know I'm a game dev, but I've never finished any game. I started a few projects, but I never saw them through to the end. And I felt awful about that, and I wanted to change this. So that's why I started a YouTube channel and this challenge. So I can make a game and share this with you and have some motivation for making my first game using Unreal Engine. If you don't want to hear a story behind this game and behind my motivation and my life, go to this minute. So let's talk about how I started with game dev. So I was like 12 years old and my dad had a laptop and I was playing video games on this laptop and I wondered how they are made. Like I'm clicking some buttons and the character walks backwards, forward, right, left. I'm clicking my mouse and the character is shooting. So I was wondering how it works. And that was first step in my life. So I watched some videos on YouTube how the games are made. And the first videos I watched was based on Unity. So I watched a few of them and I thought maybe I could download it. I asked some people, how do I even start? How to make a project? How do I make my game? So yeah, that's how I started, on my dad's laptop. I didn't have enough tutorials, enough knowledge to even start with this. I live in a small village in Poland, so none of us was ever a developer or a game developer. So I didn't know how to start. So I just started this on my own. And I downloaded Unity and I downloaded a template project from Unity that was some science fiction shooter. And when I opened Unity, I didn't know where to start. Like, it was my first time, so how would I know? And I watched some videos like how the scripts work, how to move around in Unity. It was hard for me, but I started doing it and I made some changes in this template, but I gave up quickly because it was so hard for me. The life in the small village is so hard, so I had to quit. Maybe 3 or 4 years later, I started to learn more things. So after 2 years in Unity, I thought it would be better to change the engine. And the first one that came to my mind was Unreal Engine because of its blueprint nodes. I created few projects in Unreal Engine and I didn't ever come to an end and even to the half. But I really wanted to make the game, but I didn't feel I could make it. I was more ambitious than I could do. I was learning Unreal Engine, so someday I can try to make the game, the full game. And this day came, and that's why you see this video. I thought I would start a YouTube channel and make a video game on this channel, because through these years I was trying to make a game, but I hadn't have motivation for this, and that was the main reason. I kept creating a new projects, 1, 2, 3, 4 and even 5, and I was working on it 3 or 4 months. So yeah, I didn't ever make the project, make the game, the final game. To this day, yesterday, I published it on GameJolt, so you can check it out. And let's go through the process of making my first game in 7 days.
So what was my plan? I thought I will use Fab for most of the assets that will be in my game, because there is a lot of free assets that I can use in my game, and in 1 week I wouldn't do much in Blender or in any 3D modeling tool. I wanted to make a full playable game in 1 week that user can start it and end it with windscreen or with death screen. And I had some experience in C++ or in Unreal Engine, but I used blueprint nodes for the simplicity, because I didn't have enough time to make a game in C++ because it's harder. And the next one was the genre of the game. And I thought about making a horror game or an FPS game. But I combined them and it's an FPS horror game. So my first problem was with the asset named Advanced Locomotion System that I used mainly for my character movement. This asset was so complicated, I had to go through all of the necessary blueprint classes to understand the core systems behind this asset. And yeah, it took me a lot of time. But finally I managed to do this, and you can see it in the final game. So I started by creating a new project based on this advanced locomotion system. I downloaded a survival character from the Fab and added the skeletal mesh of it to the advanced locomotion system blueprint character. So it has a different mesh and different look for this particular game. I thought I would make a game in first person, because it's a horror game and the first person is more frightening. The problem arose here because I didn't know how the third person and first person work in this advanced locomotion system asset. But I found the correct variable to change this from third person to first person, and I set the character to hold pistol with both hands so he can shoot. But he couldn't shoot yet. So there was a next trouble, because when I set up the character to hold pistol with both hands, the character wasn't holding it enough high to get the player right position for shooting. I was looking for the camera component in this asset, but I couldn't find it. So I just went to skeletal mesh and I changed the location of the FP camera socket. And it worked, kind of, because it has some bugs, but it's playable. So when I had the character set up, I thought it would be great to make a level for this game. And I downloaded Rogue Creatures and Post-Apocalyptic Map. Creatures are the stickman creatures that I used in my game for the enemy type, and Post-Apocalyptic Sandbox is the map that I used for main menu, which you will see in the next chapter of this video. I used the texture for the landscape in another map and some foliage assets. I added fog so the player can't see much, and it looked a lot more scary because you could see only in a few meters and you don't know where the enemy comes from. So the next step was to create an enemy that will be following player, and when he gets close enough, he will attack him. So I made a blueprint class, the behavior tree and the AI player controller. I tried to set up an AI on my own, but it didn't work well. So I asked Google Gemini and it helped a lot. The next step was to make the player shoot, because in what FPS game player can't shoot? So I implemented a function in blueprint class and I look up for the mesh of the pistol and I created a socket named muzzle, and I got his position and multiplied by some large number, and it was my shooting function. So I worked on enemy to look more realistic, and I added him some animations like death animation, attack animation. The most annoying part was setting up the attack animation, because I didn't have much experience with AI and I didn't know how to do it. And I watched some tutorials and everything worked together. It was missing a lot because this AI was so simple, but it was enough for me. The next step was to create a purpose for the player to play this game. So I thought I would make a wave system where the player have to survive all the waves that I implement. And the wave every time gets harder and harder. I made Blueprint Wave Manager and I created some spawn point actor and I threw them all around the map so the enemies spawn in different locations every time. I made the struct that contains all of the data that are necessary for me to make the game playable. And I made a data table that was based on this struct and I created 15 waves so the player can have fun. And that was all for the wave system because I didn't have enough time to get it done right. Because I had to add some sounds, some visual effects, some UI, and I just moved on. So I thought it would be great to make some sound effects and some ambient sounds so the game isn't so empty. I think the sound effects and soundtrack of the game are the one of the important things in the game. Because like imagine Doom without heavy metal OST. It just wouldn't be Doom. So I started with footstep sounds. And that was another problem with Advanced Locomotion System, because I didn't know where the footstep sound was played. I downloaded some footstep sounds and I replaced it with the original ones. Then I just added some sounds for the enemy, like when he swings his arm or hit the player. I added some sound for the gun that the player was holding and shooting, and I added ambient sound for the forest that the player was in. So I thought only one monster, it's not convincing for the gamer to play the game. So I added new monster, I retargeted some animations from the other ones that I had, and that's all. I made a custom idle sound for the two types of the enemies, and it sounds something like this. And finally, I thought it would be great to make some animation for the enemy when the enemy gets hit. I had some animations, hit left animation and hit right animation. So I used dot product and I checked the position of the player and the rotation of the player. And on this, I calculated which animation I should play. So it was time to make the player see what is going on with his health and the wave that he is in. I created a blueprint widget and I added a progress bar that will show the player how much health does he have left. I applied some texture to it, rounded its corners, and I bound the health bar to display the health of the player. Then I got the BP Wave Manager and I get the struct so I can tell what wave is it. And I was done with the HUD for now. So the next thing to do on my list was to make a main menu. So I just copied map from Post-Apocalyptic Sandbox asset and I changed some lighting and I removed some assets because they weren't used at all. So I downloaded a TV material from the fab that I got for free and applied it to my character. I added some basic UI so the player can click play and play the game, or quit the game, or go to the settings. So the next thing was to make a setting, and I made them, and that's all. It was easy. So after adding a main menu, I tested the game and I saw that the player can't see where the enemy is coming from. So I thought that I have to make a compass, but that was the most problematic thing that I've ever done. I calculated the position between the player and the enemy. I had one problem. I got the location from the socket FP camera that was located in the body mesh of the player, but I was getting socket location from the actor itself. So it wasn't from the skeletal mesh that I was using, but from the blueprint. I don't know how, don't ask me. I changed it and I used arc cosine to get the degrees. I converted it so it shows up in the compass in 2D. And I created some enemy indicator, like just square point, so it will be displayed on the compass. So in my code, in my blueprint nodes, I was creating enemy indicators, but they didn't show up when I added them to the viewport. I was thinking about this for an hour at least, but in the end I tried some configuration and it worked. I don't know how, but it worked, and I left it as it was. Running and shooting is really boring when you don't have to do anything else. So I made pickups and ammo system. First, I made the medkit pickup, so when you pick it up, it gives the player health. And then I created ammo pickup, but I noticed that I don't have any ammo system, so I had to make it. I added some variables to character blueprint. The pickup ammo and the medkit pickup was dropping off from the enemy. There was a slight chance to drop the medkit or the ammo box, and there was a trouble for me to get the right position to spawn the medkit pickup and the ammo box, because I had to get the normal from the line trace by channel from the dying enemy and calculate how to rotate the spawned pickup. And for them I added another indicators. It was the same as the enemies one, but I just changed the colors. Pink for medkit and yellow for ammo boxes. Everything was done in the gameplay. I just had to make the die and win screen. If you died, you could quit the game or go to the main menu to start the game again. And if you won, it was the same. I improved the visuals by adding some textures to the buttons for the settings menu and for the win and screen. I searched for the custom font on the internet and I found two that I can use in my game. I tested the game some more and I found it difficult to get through it because the ammo was ending quickly. So every wave I spawned 2 ammo boxes in different locations. So that was all for my game. I started building it. The game was heavy. I just had to make the game smaller, in size of course. So I disabled some plugins and deleted meshes and changed the packages settings to get the least size possible. I used Project Launcher for the custom profile. I checked some settings and I distributed it. And it's now available on GameJolt. Link will be in the description below. So if you want to check it out, go for it. And that was how I made my first game in Unreal Engine 5 in only 1 week. Thank you guys for your time and effort to watch it till the end. Let me know in the comments if there is something that I did the wrong way. Every single comment will be appreciated and I will try to respond to all of them. Please subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.